The following podcast is brought to you by Radio WICV. To learn more information about us, visit us at radiowicv.com in the description below. Thank you, and enjoy.
Ghosts and ghouls of every age. Would you like to see something strange? Well, come with us and you will see
This podcast that is Sketchicast. What's up, peeps? I am back, and beware, you're in for a scare. Well, not really, but you are in for another guest. The person I have here is the illustration major here, Rhashad Carter. So say hi, Rhashad.
What's up? How you? How's it going?
It's going pretty well. Okay, so Rhashad, you are a junior here, and I figured, considering where you are in terms of your classes, I found you to be one of the more interesting creative types here. So, let's get started on the questions. So, my first question to you is, what got you interested in wanting to pursue the medium of illustration?
Just like the kind of stuff I like to draw. Like, I'm more into like fantasy and fantastical type stuff, and like most people I knew like at my high school, they like heavily discouraged against like drawing anything that you couldn't like actually see that wasn't real, and I was like, that's like whack. Like, why the fuck? Like, why can't I draw stuff that like, even like I would play games and like stuff that was like, you know, like God of War, like stuff that was like mythological and like crazy shit, and I was just like, I like looking at stuff that's not real, and I like drawing stuff that's not real, and you know, seeing things on like movies and stuff that doesn't exist, because I'm like, that's what makes it interesting. Like, some people are into like real life, they find that more interesting. I find like made up stuff to be more interesting because there's more variety, you know. But like, just basically like the kind of stuff I draw just falls more into the illustration category, you know. And it's like there's like digital illustration, which I really love, because there's such like a huge like market for it. There's like it's like I just like doing it.
Yeah, there's a market for anything in terms of art, I feel.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, like digital illustration, I think that's become a lot more prevalent now.
Yeah.
And you know, any form of art now has become a bit more digital, although there's still like traditional fine arts, there's printmaking, but illustration has become a lot more of a broad market compared to those which are a bit niche.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So I think you're on the right path.
Yeah.
So, you seem to carry a passion for comics, concept art, and character design. Which of these facets do you enjoy doing the most?
You say comics, concept art, and character design. I mean, I kind of have to do all of them. Like, I have to do character design and concept before I like do a comic book. So, I like the pre-production phase a lot, because like what really got me into that is like I would notice it a little bit like in games. Like, if you bought a game, they would always have like special features, and it would have like the making of, or like, you know, the creation of this character, and they would have like 50 different variations of this like one character. Like, Kratos' tattoo was gonna be blue. Like, if you look at like Mortal Kombat or Injustice, they always, and I always notice like they always tend to choose like the lamest costume, or like the most basic design for like everything. Like even like in the most recent Godzilla, like I saw some of the concept art, and I was like, why didn't they do this? Like what? Like,
So specifically the American Godzilla, right?
Yeah. That was the most recent one. Like, the movie is great, but it's like Ghidorah's design like could have been so much better, just based on like the concept art I saw. He looks more like eelish, and
You're better off watching Shin Godzilla.
yo, oh my god, I actually hated that movie, but like I hated it.
Oh no!
But yeah,
angry
like,
fans are gonna come killing you.
right. But like, I like I guess I would say comics, just because like it's a story and like it's a complete idea realized, where like concept art is just like a portion of an idea, character design is just a portion of an entire story, and then like if a comic is like all the concept art and the character design, like the final product and all that, you know.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Actually, like as an animation major here, I think all of those different forms of the medium do fit in with that. Although comics, I guess we would refer to as storyboarding instead. Although they're both kind of the same anyway. And I do have a bigger appreciation for storyboarding now than I did when I was younger, because if you don't have like a specific idea in mind, like lay it out first because of the hard work will be, it won't be as much of it won't be as troublesome when you have like a reference point in mind.
Yeah, yeah.
I often think of The Incredibles and that, where like every single shot of that movie is very well thought out, because like that movie itself was clearly just a freaking thrill ride from start to finish. But they, that's because they tied everything down and they knew exactly like how to execute the shots.
Yeah, that's a great that and The Incredibles too. Great sequel, like for real.
Elastigirl super suit is by Galbaki. Explain yourself.
What?
This from the sequel.
Yeah, I've only seen it like twice. I have to like look back and remember. I was like, what?
It's not. It doesn't leave the same punch that the first one did.
Oh, okay, I got you. But yeah, like, cause like a comic is just like a finished version of a story. Like a comic is essentially a storyboard, just like a really super polished storyboard. Exactly. So I feel like if someone can draw comics, they can do a storyboard because you're essentially just like doing multiple storyboards. But yeah, like I would say like my appreciation for storyboards definitely grew as well, just because like the animation I'm working on now is the first one that I've actually storyboarded. Like the other ones I just like referenced other things and it was like people could like tell, but I was just doing because like I haven't been doing animation for that long, but it's just like having like doing a storyboard, it makes the animation like easier and it's like it makes the story work better just because like everything is planned out, so you're like I'm not just doing this just because it looks pretty. It's like it serves a purpose in the narrative.
Yeah, that makes sense. You don't want like I confess that I used to make a lot of animations without storyboarding and they are awful. They are so bad, but you learn over time.
Yeah,
thumbnailing's also important too.
Yeah.
All right, so who would you say is your biggest influence, even if it comes down to a relative? Like, he doesn't even have to be a teacher.
Influence like an artist that I like, or just like a person that I actually know?
Both.
The person I actually know is like the first place like I volunteered, like in high school. Was called Project Steam Maryland, and like this like guy owns it. Like he has like a nonprofit organization. His name is Keon White, and he just like he actually went to Micah. And he like does art stuff now, and he just like teaches, and he has like his whole like side hustle is just like teaching, like it's like a kids program, like teaching just like using software and being creative and like like explain like just using their artistic like mind and creativity to just make stuff like after school for like 2 hours every day.
Nice.
And I was like, it's pretty dope. Like it's something I wish I had as a kid, just because like the summer camps I went to weren't like art summer camps, they were just like regular summer camps.
Right.
And in elementary school it's just like a regular art class, and then like I was heavily discouraged like by my teachers to not draw, like it would always be like put that away or like don't draw, or like it was weird. It was like specifically drawing that they had a problem with, and I was like I remember getting in trouble. Like there was this game called X-Men Legends, and they would have like like the load screens. They would have like character art of the people or whatever, like they were rendered because like this is before everything was like rendered and you could just like open world, like there wasn't no load screen. This is like PS2 era. Oh, so God. Like I drew a picture of Rogue and she was like jumping towards the screen, but Rogue, like some of their outfits were really like skimpy. Like Emma Frost had like her titties out, and Rogue kind of had her titties out.
That would definitely trigger.
And like and I was like in first grade, but like in my mind I wasn't like I didn't know that people were like attracted to like breasts, so I just like drew it the way it was, and the teacher was like, "Oh my God, look at this!" And I'm like, "Can I have my picture back?" Like, what the fuck? Like,
did he say that in like a mean way? Like, "How dare you draw?"
No,
this?
it was like, "Oh my God, this dude's drawing titties." Like, what the fuck? But I was like, "Yo, that's just what the character looks like," and I was like,
"Oh
God," like I didn't understand. Like now I get it, but it's like back then I didn't see it.
I've definitely experienced many people who are like, "You're drawing cleavage." What?
Yeah, yo, like, and definitely like in my art school there were like two types of people. There were like people who understood that like if you draw people you probably just like to draw people, and then there were people who were like guys will call me gay because I would like draw dudes. I'm like, no, I'm just trying to understand anatomy. They're like, why you got a dude on your computer? I'm like, I drew it. Like
that isn't that the equivalent of saying like, oh hey Sally, oh you're drawing the female figure a lot, oh you must be a lesbian. Like
right, yeah.
No.
Yeah, it was either like you drew women, you were a perv, you draw guys, you're gay. I'm like, bro, just fuck off.
No. People draw that shit because they want to learn the anatomy and because it's fun.
I mean, like it's also nothing wrong with like if you want to draw something that's like you find attractive, go ahead. I don't give a fuck. But like,
I mean, there's definitely a market for that. So.
yeah. Like fucking what is it? DeviantArt. Like,
DeviantArt. Oh god, I could be here all day with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so next, growing up here.
Oh wait. I didn't do the artist. All right, so there's like multiple artists that I look up to. Like there's a guy who did a Carnage comic. It's called Carnage Family Feud and Carnage USA. His name is Clayton Crane, who I actually met at Comic Con. He's really chill. His artwork is like fucking insane. Like he did a Ghost Rider run. His artwork is crazy. There's a guy named Alexander Lozano. He designed like the white suits that the Avengers wear in Endgame. He
cool.
Because when they shot the movie, they didn't have a design for it. So like like in post production, they like made a design for it. Nice. And he did this huge like panoramic picture of like the Injustice 2 characters, and it was like what kind of inspired me to start doing like those big pieces, because it's just like it's like Superman and like all like characters just like this big like clash, and there's like a lot going on, and I was like, damn. I was like, how the fuck did he do that? like and now like if you zoom in, you can see the paint strokes, and I'm like, this guy painted this whole fucking thing. That's crazy. And then there's like who else? Those are like the big two right now, and there's like Esad Arabic and like a bunch of other comic artists, and there's a guy who works named Jose. He's like a colorist. Like people like him, like people who are just like successful and just like they do like good shit, like good art. They like inspire me, because I'm like, I feel like a lot of people here get like discouraged when they see good shit, or like when they look at a bunch of good stuff, so they just like don't look at good art. But I'm like, I look at good art so I can know what I'm competing with, so I can aspire to do better, you know. So that's just like my influence, like my inspiration. You know?
I hope you still follow them.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so you're from here in Baltimore.
Yeah.
So how did that shape you up to be who you are today, in terms of growing up around here?
Well, I didn't entirely grow up here per se. Like my mom got married to my stepdad, and he was in the military, so we moved to Georgia, and then we moved to Tennessee, and that was in a span of like 5 years maybe.
Darn.
And then like when I started 8th grade, we like came back here, but like. It was weird because I didn't have like a Southern accent. I wasn't like Southern people are very like I don't know. Like they have like they move differently than people here do. Like
yep, hurry, Bobby, come on here, boy, get.
Nah, it wasn't like that. Like I lived in a suburban area, but like I don't know. It was just like they move differently. Like my neighborhood was like. It wasn't like segregated, but like there was like white people on one side and like black people on one side. But it was like it was still an iffy area. And then like we had like another like black guy who like lived across the street, and he bred pit bulls. And I was just like, it's cool, but I was like, why like his dogs kept getting loose, and I was like, for a very long time I was just like really scared of dogs, because like growing up in Baltimore, like because I grew up for a little bit in Baltimore, and then I went like to Tennessee and Georgia, and everywhere I went, people had dogs for protection. So none of the dogs I encountered were friendly. So I was just under this impression that all dogs were like bad. Plus, I saw the movie Cujo, which was about like a rabid dog.
Oh god.
Yeah, about like a Stephen King novel. Yo, that I was like, see, dogs are fucking crazy. Like I was just like lit out of my mind. I was like,
I think the movie White Dog would have sealed that deal.
Yeah, like, and then I don't know like what snapped me out of it. It was just like just be calm around dogs is fine. But like it was like that, and I didn't like. I wouldn't say like I kind of. It's not like I didn't have friends. I just didn't fuck with anyone, like, cause I was like, people here move differently. I'm into art. Nobody really here is into art. Like, I was like the only kid who like drew and shit, and like, there was like this kid I used to hang out with named I forgot his fucking name, but like I used to hang out with him all the time. But he was like a troublemaker. But like he like we would just hang around. Like I knew him since like 5th grade. And he would like do some shit like outside of school that I didn't know about, and like but like my mom knew, because just like, you know, parents gossip and shit like that. So like she would be like, don't hang around him. So like whenever I would get in trouble, it would always be like when I'm with him, and see, my mom was like, see, and so I got like an ass whipping like a couple of times because of that. And then like one time, I got like suspended because they thought we were fighting, but we weren't actually fighting. You know how like you're a kid and you like you see a movie. And it's like an action
yeah.
movie, and you're like reenacting the fights, but you're not actually fighting. You know, you're like pow 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 pow, and they thought we were actually fighting. And I was like, yo, they don't like some racist shit right now. Like,
No.
now that I think back to it, I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like, we weren't actually fighting. Like, nobody made any connect hits. And then like they were like, obviously you guys are fighting. Look how mad you are. I'm like, we're mad because we weren't fucking fighting, and you're saying we are. That's why
It was
we're
all
mad.
imaginary.
Yeah, yeah. And I was just like, yo, like what the fuck? And then like middle school, and then like he like disappeared. Turns out he like shot somebody.
Oh fuck.
I was like, yo, cause like I reconnected with him over Facebook. And I was like, yo, like, what happened? Like, what? Like, I was like, yo, like, what happened to you? He was like, yeah, I shot somebody. I was like, shit.
Oh, shoot.
I was like, all right, good thing I stopped hanging out with you. It's cool. And, what happened after that? Yeah, middle school. Yeah, like, so middle school, and then, like, there was Northeast, it was, like, Northeast elementary, middle, and high school. So, like, most of the people who, like, went through there, like you just know each other from, like, the time you're, like, elementary school to like high school. I never got to the high school, thank God, because like fuck that. So like, I went there from 6th to 7th grade, and it was like the school was so small that each grade had a hall. Like, you know how like most schools is just like a fucking maze.
Yeah.
And you go to different classes.
Yeah.
Like we did that, but it was all in the same hall. So you had like it was red, like blue, and yellow, and like you had like 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and then like, and it was really weird.
My high school was connected to my middle school.
Wow.
That's how shitty it was.
Yeah, and like actually not my ours weren't connected, but they were in like the same like almost like a shopping center. It was like elementary school, middle school, high school, like right there. And like I had this teacher, I think her name was like Miss Kuroda or some shit like that. She would always fuck with me. Like she would say shit like, you know how people be like, oh, look at my baby, like, is my baby cute? Like, you know, like I'm a kid, so I don't give a fuck. I don't have manners. And she was like, isn't my baby cute? And I was like, why are you at like what? Like, no, I don't give a like, no, your
this
baby.
This isn't any of my business.
Like, I didn't say anything. I was just like, why are you showing me your baby in class? Like, I don't care. And she used to like she would like pull me out of line and shit, and like I wouldn't be like doing anything. And then like she just kept fucking with me. So then like they switched me to another teacher. I forgot her name, but she was like way nicer. She was just like, yeah, like I'm just chill. And so that was pretty cool. And I had like a different homeroom and it's crazy shit like that. And like I remember I had this teacher named Mr. Hall, who was my science teacher, and he was really chill. Like he's like what really got me into science. I was like, yo, I kind of fuck with science, you know, biology and shit like that. He had like skeletons and shit in there showing us anatomy.
Nice.
I was like, this is chill. And then like 7th grade, I had a teacher, don't remember his name. I can't remember, but like he didn't like fuck with me, but like anytime I would bring any like, cause you know I'm in the South, and he would talk about like Bible shit in class,
no.
and me personally, I'm not like I don't follow any religion.
Neither do I.
So like when people bring it up and trying to push it on me, I'm not gonna front like, oh yeah, I'm like, nah, I'm not really into that. And you know, like from a kid, you don't usually hear that like from kids, like not like from, you know, I forgot how old I was, maybe like 12 or 13 or whatever. Like you don't really hear that from like younger kids, you know, like 'cause they don't really question that much. But like he would ask me shit, and he was talking about how he was in the military. And then one day, it was like near the end of the school year, and like we were like cleaning out our lockers. I didn't have a locker because I was like, I don't need to. We're constantly moving between classes, so I'm like, there's no point in putting anything in my locker because I'm just gonna walk from class to class. So I carried everything in my backpack, and he was like, clean out your locker. I was like, my locker doesn't have anything in it. It's already clean. Like I don't need to do anything. So like I try to go back in the classroom, and you know how you step in front of somebody when they're moving forward and they kind of like back up, you know? Yeah, like that was like I, and then like him, like the force of like him like me like bumping into him, like I like step back, and then I was like, yo, like you just pushed me. Like he didn't like actually push me, but the like it felt like he like pushed his body like against me, like pushed me out the way. And so like I like said that, and then like apparently like someone like saw or like heard and like reported to like the principal. And then like I got called into the principal's office, and then he came in there like crying. He was like, dude, like you're putting my job in jeopardy. I was like, I didn't fucking do anything. I was like, what the fuck? And then turns out like the principal, the vice principal, they had like people had like restraining orders against them. Like shit was crazy there. Like I didn't even know. Like that shit was wild. Like I had the stomach virus one time.
Oh fuck.
which like I got that every year because kids are just fucking nasty. I got the stomach virus, and then like, which I never got when I was here. I don't know if that's like a southern thing, but like when I went there, I got it every year that I was there.
Darn.
And then like I told the teacher, I was like, yo, like I have this every year. I have to go to the bathroom because I have to throw up, and I'd rather not throw up in the classroom or like in the sink. I want to like get there on time. Like, and she was like, nah, like you can't go. And I was like, I'm telling you, I'm gonna throw up. Like if it's happened before.
Did it happen?
Not in the classroom, but like I just lied. I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. I have to like pee, and she was like, all right, go ahead. And so like, and you have to like sign out and shit to like go because
Right.
like stupid. So like I'm like running to like, cause like the class I was at was like the very end of the hall, and the bathroom was at like the very top of the hall.
Oh,
So like I was running, and like I got like to like the sink, and I threw up.
Oof.
And I was like, damn it! I was like, if you would just let me go, could have went. So like that whole like all of that was I just hated like all of that. It was just wild.
That's rough.
Yeah, yo, but I had like there was like a guy who like, there was like a guy who like punched me in the eye, and there was like a guy who like hit me upside the head with a belt. And then my mom always thought I was lying, cause I was like, she was like, why is he messing with you? And I was like, I don't know. And so like she was a type, and she was like never like hit nobody back, cause like, you know, like I guess it was like a survival thing, just cause like we were in the South, and like it was like a really like racist area, and she was like, I don't want nobody like fucking with you, so just like don't like raise your hand against nobody. So I was like, all right, even though the kid who was doing it was also black, but like one day he just like had a belt, and he was just like hitting people, and he like hit me upside the head. And like, you know how somebody like do something real quick and they turn back around, and I was like, yo, like I know you did it, like
Oh,
I have a bump.
That's happened to me.
I was like, yo, I have a
times.
bump on my head. And then like I called my dad, and I was like, yo, like what should I do? I'm so tired of this guy. He was like, tomorrow you go there and you punch him in his face.
Did you?
No, because then my mom was like, don't do that. And I was like, because like I live with my mom, and I was like, you know, I live with her, just do what she say. And then like one time he was like saying some shit to me. He was just like he just kept saying shit. And then I said like one thing back, and then he like stopped talking. Which I should have knew by then meant he was gonna like do some shit. Like with somebody, like when you like talking shit and someone get real quiet, usually mean they're gonna try to fucking hit you. So I'm just sitting there like against the window. I'm not even like looking at him, which I should have been. And I just see like out the corner of my eye, just like bow. He just like hits me like right in the eye, and I'm like, damn, yo, I can't hit him back because my mom is gonna fuck me up if I get into a fight. So I'm just sitting there like with this swollen eye, and like nobody ever did anything. Like the bus driver didn't like do anything. Like he didn't get like suspended or anything. It was just like. I was like, all right, I just got this black eye. It's cool. It's cool. Yeah.
Is that all you've got to say about that question? Because I'd like to move on.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Good. Great story, though.
I didn't like get to high school, but yeah, gosh.
Oh, well, you can like briefly talk about high school.
All right, so I came back here, 8th grade. Then I was like, fuck this school. School's trash. Then I went to Carver. Carver was dope. Like, the carpentry kids were like weird. I don't know what the connection is between being an asshole and playing with wood, but there's something there. But yeah, like all like the software and like digital art, that's where I got introduced to all that, was like at Carver in high school. And then like that's where I like made some like actual friends, and then like that's where I learned about like mica, and then like that's where I started learning about sculpture and like the actual like business of art. And like I didn't know any actual digital artists until I met my teacher, Mr. Afshari, who was a digital artist, and he taught us about like Photoshop and all that shit. Like before I like actually got to Photoshop, I thought Photoshop was like this like thing this mystical thing that people use that I would never get to use. But it's like, oh yeah, it's like, I don't know, like $15 to like like a month. And I was like, you mean I could have been doing this whole time? But yeah, high school was like where I got like really into art, and then like college was like I got even more.
I think high school is around the time where you officially like really start to like get acquainted with your passion, like
for sure,
find one as well. Like I had a whole senior program that was dedicated to that.
Yeah.
And I learned Flash.
Yeah.
All right. So despite not being an animation major, you also sometimes experiment with motion techniques. So what is it like for you, who typically makes still images or several different poses for characters, to then having to constantly move them?
Like, to me, like, anyone who illustrates can animate, because illustrations are just, like I was saying before, like, illustrations are just a series of key, like, poses, and that's basically what you do in your animation. So, like, what I do is, like, I look at, like, I typically try to make my animations look more like cinema and less like animation, just because, like, I'm used to seeing like live action or CGI stuff. So like I'll look at like color palettes or like the filming techniques or like what like the camera movements, like stuff like that. And like I only been like really animating for like I graduated in 2016. So I'll say like about like 4 years. But like for the first like 2 years, like first like 2 or 3 years, I was just like animating like maybe like one thing every couple of months with like stick people. It was just like because I saw like the stick fights and how like big that was, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like I want to do like shit like that. Like I never tried anything like too complicated, and I had like this like application called like Stick Figure Animator. It was called Pivot Stick Figure Animator, and it's only for like Windows. I don't know if they still make it, but like
yeah, I used to have that.
yeah. And this is before I knew any other kind of like animation software. Like I don't know about Flash or I didn't like you doing Photoshop, but like so then like I just recently like in the past like month like got into 3D because like if you notice like any like animated movie or like well like the ones that are in movies are like almost all 3D, but like shows like any like cartoon it's like the environment is like even Family Guy has like the environment is 3D, like the cars are 3D, like
that's such a weird blend.
Yeah, it's like you have to put like a tune shader on it so everything has like a flat color. But like, yeah, I'm like trying to blend that. Like, the first time I actually noticed it was in Attack on Titan, cause like, I'm not like big on anime, but there's like certain animes that I watch just because.
Oh, cause you nut, gosh.
Yeah, like there's some like One Punch Man, Mob Psycho, they only have 2D, right. And I'm like I respect the work, but like some of the camera movements and some of the dynamics that I like are. It's not like they're only possible with 3D, but they look better and they're accomplished better with 3D, like moving through environments and shit like that.
I'll take that and raise you a James Baxter.
I have no idea who that is.
Oh man, one of the greatest animators of our time.
Yeah.
Do you know that he animated that one shot in the Steven Universe movie where it's like
don't watch Steven Universe.
Okay, then he animated. Let's see, Belle and Beauty and the Beast, Quasimodo, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Spirit, and Spirit Stallion Cimarron. His style, like, it's 2D, but it almost looks 3D. It's so fluid.
Yeah, like, there are, like, scenes where, like, there's this one scene, it's, like, a single take where, like, Eren and Mikasa are, like just swinging through the city.
What show is this?
Attack on Titan.
Right.
And, like, it's just, like, a one take of, like, them, it's, like, 30 seconds long. And he, like, jumps down the wall, like, just, like, swings through the city. And then he ends it with, like, scraping along, like, the ground and then, like, turning into the Titan. There's one with, like, Levi versus the Kenny Squad where, like, he's just, like, going through the buildings and, like, all these, like, zigs and zags and turns. And, like the attention of detail, like that's what really, like, inspired me. Attack on Titan inspired me to get into animation and, like, start drawing because I was, like, the story of, like, Hajime Isayama, I think that's how you say his name. He, like, how he, like, drew this. And it became, like, for a little bit, like, the best-selling manga in, like, the world. Like it got overtook again by One Piece because, like, One Piece is One Piece. It's like it's still going. It's always, like it's just like the dominant thing.
Who cares anymore?
Yeah. It's so like I was like, damn, that's inspiring as fuck. So I was like, after I like watched the first episode, I was like, all right, I'm gonna draw my comic.
Have you seen the 4Kids dub?
No.
Oh, it's beautiful. They were replaced cigarettes with lollipops, shotguns with squirt guns and slingshots.
Oh wow!
And it's the greatest fucking dub ever.
That's funny.
Okay, so my next question is: your style feels reminiscent to the hardcore, edgy graphic novels and mature video games that you also mentioned, but are also like commonplace. That have been commonplace since the 2000s. So like, how much of that source material do you gravitate to when needing reference for newer ideas or for general inspiration?
Wait, say that again?
So, basically,
what was the first part?
How your style feels are reminiscent to like hardcore, edgy graphic novels and mature video games that have been commonplace since the beginning of this century.
Oh, like I just look at things that are like whatever is similar to what kind of aesthetic or what kind of story I want to achieve. Like it's almost like impossible to create like something that's completely original just because of the way our memories work. Like right. Like and like there's only like was like 6 ways to tell a story. It's just like how
7.
yeah like yeah something like that, like how you tell it or like the pacing is like what makes it different or like the characters. So like whatever I'm trying to achieve, I try to like look at like what is similar and how is it successful and why and like what made it successful. You know, like I'm even like right now I'm at this like mind space where I'm like even if I don't care about the story, at least I can still look at it. Like the most recent like Godzilla, like again like I don't care about the humans. The story is not really what's important to me. I just like looking at the monsters, and I think the cinematography is beautiful. So like I can still watch it and like not know the story and still be like, oh wow, like amazing, you know. And like storytelling is like the new like God of War is like storytelling is like absolutely amazing, and it's like you have to look at like the time, like they put a lot of time into that game. They put a lot of into like the narrative, and you know you can't like rush it. You can't like sacrifice quality for time, which I feel like a lot of things do. But I'm starting to see more and more where people will like production teams will push back like dates. Like Wonder Woman, I think was supposed to come out either this year or early next year.
1984. It's coming out next year.
Yeah, and they pushed it back, and I think it was like for like to make sure it's like up to par, and I was like I respect it. Yeah. Attack on Titan does the same thing. Like there was like a 3-year, like 4-year gap between season 1 and 2, and I'm like as long as it looks good and as long as like the production value is the same, I don't mind waiting. And I find that people if they like something, if they know that like the time and the effort is being put into it, they will wait for it.
Oh yeah, like you know, it took 14 years until we got a sequel to The Incredibles, and whether or not you like that movie, you can definitely appreciate the patience that they took to bring us a new
There's
story.
so much detail. Like you can see the hairs on Jack's face. Yo, speaking of sequels, did you know that Cinderella came out in the 50s?
Oh yeah.
Cinderella came out in the 50s, and Cinderella 2.
There's also like crappy directed-to-DVD Disney sequels that come out like years after.
Yeah, Cinderella 2 came out in like 2008, and I was like
2002 actually. 2007.
Yeah, but even still, it's like 50 years later, and I'm like, why did we need a Cinderella sequel?
Well, why did we need most of them? The only sequels that like we needed were like The Lion King 2. And
actually, that's not canon anymore. But I actually like that one. Like, I love it.
Well, never mind the Lion Guard, because like the Lion King 2 is like one of the best Disney sequels.
Yeah, it's just like Romeo and Juliet, and the other one is like Hamlet.
Yeah. Hey, I honestly, what you said, I don't care if we get a sequel to Into the Spider-Verse 10 years afterwards. Just make it whenever you can. And it turns out great, because that movie is like the new big innovator for animation.
Yeah, but what you were asking me about like the graphic novels, yeah, like I like graphic novels more than I like those like single issues, just because like I like the long read. Like all of my like I read Watchmen, I read Old Man Logan, I read this like Aquaman comic recently. I'm reading Carnage, like the 2, and then there's a Marvel event called Infinity, which is not to be confused with Infinity Gauntlet, which is what Infinity War is based on. Infinity is about Thanos like discovering he has like a son, and there's a bunch of epic moments. Like Black Bolt like shouts in his face, and Thanos is like, I don't feel shit, and like beats his ass, and like most people probably don't know who the fuck Black Bolt is, but like
he wasn't in this MCU. Who are you talking about?
I mean, technically. They had a show, the Inhumans. It just sucked ass. Like, yeah, like
most of those Marvel shows are awful.
Yeah, I don't watch them, but so like the comics that like there's this guy named Lee Bermejio. His work is like so fucking awesome. It's like it's almost like ultra realistic. Like they have a label. It's called DC Black Label, which is like the more mature, like what would be like R-rated movies of comics basically. And I'm like, yo, like. There's like a Joker and Harley Quinn when there's like a Swamp Thing when I think coming out. Like there's a whole list of like production that they're like working on, and it's like they don't come out as fast. And I know why. It's because like the quality of the artwork is higher because it's more detailed, it takes more time. There's one person working on like the inks and the colors and like stuff like that. And so I'm like, I wish more comic books looked like that. Like there wouldn't be as many, but I feel like because there wouldn't be as many, it would be like more appreciated.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like if you have something good that's not as like what makes something good is that it's not common.
Yeah.
Like if something is all it will become regular. You know, it's like a good movie is a good movie because it's better than most movies, or a good comic is a good comic because it's better than most comics. And the same with anything.
Like I think of, in response to that, I think of the graphic novel series Bone. It's not like massively marketed as much as like most superhero comics, but it doesn't need to be. It's its own great combination of Lord of the Rings and Looney Tunes, and it's fucking amazing.
Yeah,
it's coming out with a Netflix series soon. I am so happy.
That's what's up. Yeah, and then like in the comic I'm doing is gonna be a graphic novel. Like it's just there's like the story is like I don't like telling short stories. Like I can if need be, but it's like I like to explore the character. I like to explore like the world and stuff like that. So yeah.
Actually, that graphic novel you're talking about, is that your thesis?
Yeah.
That actually brings me to my next question. Because in regards to your upcoming thesis, which, given that it is a comic book, how have all the factors of personal inspiration and like your love of the arts that we talked about, how did all those factors get you to crafting that particular work of art? Like, how did they all culminate together?
I've always been like not doing comics but making sequential art since I was like a kid. Like I had this character named Hurricane Lightning Man because I liked Storm from the X-Men and I thought controlling the weather was like the coolest power anyone could ever have. Like it's like you can make things inconvenient or convenient for anything and anyone. Like
she could be the next big Greek god.
Yo, yeah, like she considered a goddess. I'm like, you can make just like a hurricane. Like I thought it was so cool. So I was making like comics and shit. And so like now like I love like the drama and the exaggerated action and movement and facial expressions of anime. I love the unique stylistic choices of American cartoons. I like the storytelling and like I like the kind of like key positions of like comic books. And I was like, it's natural that I like make a comic book like a graphic novel. And like I've been working on the one like my most recent like version of it for like I would say a year now, because like before I just had a story and I was writing it as I was drawing it, which is like not the way you should do it. So I was like, it's like I had like a character and there's like an antagonist, but I was like, I kind of want the antagonist to be mysterious, but I was like, this person has so much like baggage. I want to explore like where they come from, what happened, why they are the way they are. So I was like, let me just pull back and just like start from the very beginning, just have that like not like a prequel because like it's just like it's the beginning. So it's just like I'm just starting the story from where all this like came from. So I just started doing that, and I was like, and then the book, like I wrote it, and then like when you write a comic book, it's like, at least from my experience, it doesn't always translate. Like you could write like 16 pages of dialogue, but it doesn't translate into 16 pages on the book. So like I would be like, oh, okay, well I need to show this and this and that.
You gotta reduce all that.
Well, it's not reducing. Like I knew I wanted to make it long, so like I didn't mind, but it's just like I had to decide like where do I cut off each part, like each chapter, to like make it a certain length. Like it's around like it's just over like 200 pages now. So like I wanna at the most I wanna have like 350, 400 pages, because like I wanna be able to, in this like I have like 70, like 80, like actually done like full color and inked pages. So I'm like, if I want to finish like the draft version of it by the end of this year, and then like just do like a page a day, like over the course of the next year, just so like I can just have it like done, and then like I'm not sure if I want my animation to be part of my thesis because I was gonna use them as like cross promotion, but I actually don't have to make anything for an animation, like. Since it's my concentration, so I was just gonna focus on like, because illustration is like what I want to do, and I'm like, if I don't want to be an animator, then I shouldn't promote the fact that I'm doing animations like more than doing illustration. Like people here already think I'm an animator, and it's kind of annoying just because like, it's not that I do like. Because they were like, oh, like I see on your Instagram you do like more animation, and it's not. It's like no, it's like I don't do more animation. It's just that like if I'm working on something at a particular moment in time, you may see me post more. But like if you look at all of my stuff in general, it's like 80-20. Because animation like it's because it's moving, it grabs your attention more. So that's probably why people think that.
But I'm surprised nobody's considered me more of like an illustrator than an animator, because a good chunk of the stuff I post on like social media are images within themselves. I do post animations, but I probably posted more like still images.
I mean, like they go hand in hand. Like you can't, like you can have animation, like I mean you actually not like illustration alone implies animation because you're trying to like, unless you're drawing like a still frame or like a still life. If you're drawing like a person or animal, like movement is implied through your image, and then animation. Movement is implied through your images because it's actually moving. It's a series of images. So they go hand in hand. And as far as pre-production, you do the same thing. Like if you do a comic, if you do, I don't know, like or just a book on like your drawing, like you have to do like pre-production, like character design, environmental design. What's it gonna look like on different angles. If you do an animation or a movie, you have to do like concept art, prop design, like all that. Like, those are all, that's the illustrative phase, you know. So they go hand in hand. Like they're not that far apart. That's why it's like so easy to animate and illustrate, because it's like they're almost the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, we got 3 more questions to go. So, do you have any tips and advice to give to students who are yet to tackle their thesis projects? And doesn't matter the major.
Who have yet to tackle their thesis?
Yeah.
I would say plan ahead. Don't be one of the people who like doesn't know until like
when they first announced it, like, oh god, what do I do?
Like when I first came here, I didn't know that they had a thesis. I figured they had something like a senior showcase, or like, because like at my high school they had like our final thing was like you had to make like a gallery basically. Right. So like I would say like, you know, like really think about what you want to do for your thesis, and then like plan for your thesis like ahead of time. Like you don't have to necessarily do like, since like I've been planning it basically since like I got here, like since I knew about it. Only because like my roommate was a senior and he told me. So like plan ahead, know exactly what you want to do. Don't be afraid to be like ambitious, because like people here have told me that I'm too ambitious or I'm doing like too much, and I'm like fuck that. Like I'm gonna
you'll do what you
like doing more is how you'll get a job. Like that's what separates you from like having like different people. Like have like good, and work ethic is a big one. Like you can be ambitious and you can be like, but like you have to set like every day. I'm like every week I do like a series of like concept artwork. At least once a week I do a character design, or at least once a week I do like, I'm gonna do this many pages. Like I try to do a page a day. Like I set like a, what do you call it, like a, I don't know, like goals for the week, just so like I can like make sure that what I'm doing, like I'm working towards what I'm doing. And then some days I do a little more just because I'm feeling like ambitious that day. But yeah, like plan, know what you want to do, and have good work ethic, and then just like, cause they're gonna ask you like, what do you want to do, like when it comes time to like do your thesis, and if you like just say like I don't know, or like people can tell when you haven't thought something through that much, like if you don't have that much. So like, and I've been telling like meet with the staff, like talk to faculty, like they all know what I want to do for my thesis. So it's like when it comes time and I'm saying like, oh, I want to do like a 300-page book, they're not like, oh, I don't think you should do that, because like they know that I'm working on it. Right. So like do the same thing, just like make sure they know, you know, definitely like, you know, talk to them and, you know, see what you want to do. But that's basically it. Yeah.
So in regards to that thesis, like once it's finished, where do you see it taking off? Where do you see it, like, do you think it'll leave a big impact, or do you think like, oh, you know, I worked on this for a while, but you know, feel free to enjoy it if you want. I just made this for myself.
I kind of am like all the art I make is like for myself, kind of just like, because I actually like to do art. Like I like to draw. I like to when I do it for people, it never feels like a chore unless that person is like a head ass. But like if the person is like, draw this for me, like some people have this idea that they're like, I don't want to draw anything that's not like mine, or I don't want to draw like something that's someone else's idea. But I'm like, you have to, like some people
gonna become like very prevalent in your career.
Well, I'm like, yeah, that's how you make money. Like unless you're like Alex Ross or like, you know, one of those Renaissance people who really didn't make that much money, but like until like they're famous now. That's why the stereotype is like you don't become famous until you're dead. But that's stupid. Like you become famous within the art community if you're like good and successful. But like
exactly,
it's like what was I saying? Like yeah, I actually enjoy making art. Like what was your question?
Like, where do you see
Oh,
this taking?
all right, yeah. So like, I was gonna make it regardless. Like, even if someone like was like, I don't want to like keep producing your comic art. Like, I'm gonna self publish it. Like, that's how I do it. But that's how I did it before anyway. Like, just like through Amazon. So like, you don't have to have someone like come to you and ask you to publish it, or you don't have to have a publisher.
And
like
even if it doesn't do well the first time, you can learn from that and just keep improving.
Yeah. Because I'm like, it's like my first one, so it's like I don't expect it to be like, oh, this grand, big thing. Like, like most people aren't like making a graphic novel right now, like who are seniors, but like or like juniors. But I still want to like go above and beyond like what I'm usually doing, and like I have a friend who's like an animator, and he's like, I don't even like animating, and I'm like,
wow.
I'm like, why? Like, why are you? I was like,
what are you doing?
I was like, for one, like animation, like people who do animation is like not as big in the U.S. just because like outsourcing and unless you're like a 3D animator. But I'm like, why are you an animation major?
Like, still pursue it regardless.
Yeah, and I'm like, if like I've been doing art, like I've known I wanted to do art. I know I wanted to like make stuff. Like I don't mind doing things for other people, especially since I learned that when there's a writer, like when there's a story for a comic book, you don't meet and you don't like talk about the book with the author. Right. So there's not like the very first time I did a comic book, the guy like had a story and he was like asking me about like, what should I do this for the story? Should I do that? He had me doing character designs and all this and plus 30 pages and it was only for like $600. And I'm like, now that's like, you could get like $150 per page if you're doing like comic book art like professionally. Like that's like I got like so underpaid. Like now I know that, but like I was like, yeah, like there's none of that. You just get the story, you have a deadline to like draw it, ink it, whatever, and that's it. And then you like based on like if you get your shit done, you get more and more work. So like, yeah, like I just always like knew like I don't
Yeah.
I just never like put myself in that headspace.
Right. That's actually a good way to put it. Don't like put yourself above a certain pedestal. Like just start off creatively and just see where that takes you.
Yeah, like even if I don't like the way like something is like going, like if I don't like the story, like if they want to take that story in that direction and they want to have me work on it, then that's more money for me. Like some people try to knock it when you're like in it for money, like sometimes, and I'm like, nah, like I want to have my bills paid. I want to be able to buy food. I want to be able to pay my car bills like everybody else. So like I'm still gonna do what I need to do as far as like employment at the end of the day. But like I don't get paid to write. I get paid to draw and make shit look pretty. So like
there's a great quote from Taika Waititi when I forget who asked him this, but for those who don't know, Taika Waititi is, in addition to the director of Thor Ragnarok, he also directed like indie films in his home country of New Zealand. Like,
is he in Jojo Rabbit?
Yeah, Jojo Rabbit. But like what would we do in the Shadows and Boy and Hunt for the Wilderness People. And so someone asked him, how are you able to balance out the mainstream Hollywood stuff like Thor Ragnarok with your own indie films? And so like Taika very professionally said, make one for you, make one for them. And I think that's a really interesting way to look at it. Like, if you want to make these passion projects, go for it, but you still got to pay your bills and make sure that you're doing well in this field. So, like, so sometimes you will have to work in the mainstream and, like, very big corporate facilities. But if you're working, like, in your own pace and you're doing it very successfully, I think you'll be on the right track.
Yeah, like, no matter what I've been doing, even when I worked, like, at fucking retail, when I was, like, a cashier, like, I was always doing my own work. Like, even now, like, when I do, like, I work at this place where it's like Orthodox Jewish. They have like a bunch of stuff on their like culture. I don't know the first thing about being Jewish. Like I don't.
You don't need to trust me.
Yeah, I don't know. Like even like their customs. Like when I first walked in, the professional thing to do is shake everyone's hand, introduce yourself, and they were like you can't like shake the woman's hand or like there's like certain things.
There's so much weird shit with the Orthodox.
I was like, what?
No offense to anyone here who is Orthodox, but
yeah, I just didn't know, and I was like a lot of their stuff is all like. It's like educational. It's all about like their culture, and I was like, this is cool. I was like, I don't like. By all means, I'll provide like the animation and the media. Like they like gave me the task of like doing the whole fucking like intro with like the theme song and shit, which I like got done in like 3 days, which was crazy. Nice. But I was like, whenever y'all need some work, hit me up. But like it's not. I'm not passionate about that just because I'm not I'm not Jewish. It's
Right.
not my culture. So it's like, so on the side, I still like do my own stuff and do my own work and write my own stories.
Right. Make stuff that speaks to you at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So my last question, I've asked this to the last few people I've had on here, but be it personal or professional, what would you say have been both the toughest and proudest moments in your life, and how did they impact you?
Proudest moments in my life. I would say getting into Micah is one. That's just like hella cliche.
Well, yeah.
getting my first like paid like art job, which is like the one place I still work at now, because it's like you're good enough to get paid. You know, like that's like just like a stepping, like you have like you can only go like up, you can only get better.
Mm-hmm.
And you say best and worst moments?
Like the toughest.
Toughest moments is when my life really isn't that stressful. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh God, my whole life was the toughest. Like, oof.
Like I fuck. I would say is when I'm put in a very unfamiliar environment that is dealing with a particular subject matter or demographic that I am unfamiliar with, and I have like right now I have a class book illustration, and I have Shadra, and Shadra's like, she's a wonderful teacher. She's an excellent teacher. I thought I was failing that class. I have an A, but like I was like, yo, this is so hard. Like I don't. And the demographic is children. I was like, I don't make shit for children. My comics are like ultra violent sometimes. And like my stories are more like mature. And like I don't talk to children. I don't encounter children. My sisters are teenagers. I don't know what the hell children are doing. When I was a kid, at the same time I was like watching Sesame Street, I was playing Grand Theft Auto. So I was like, I don't think I'm the prime example of like, so like, and then like it's like questioning. A tough thing is like questioning if your art is not, I wouldn't say good because it's subjective, but it's like, is it good enough? Like sometimes you get critiques and you're not sure if the person is saying that just because they're being an asshole or if because it's really how they feel.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between how someone feels in a critique and valid criticism, because you have to check yourself, like, is it my ego? Is it their ego? Like, what is it? Do I really need to change it? Like, because you can change a piece to appease one person and then somebody else is like, this is ugly, you know, like,
yeah.
So like what, in my opinion, I'm just trying to appease my teachers in critique, because like they, in my mind, have the place of like the art director. The art director is the person you need to, like if in your job, like your stuff needs to go to the art director, your stuff needs to look good to them. It has to, appease them.
Mm-hmm.
So like do whatever it is that will get their approval, and which is like the teachers do what they need so you can get the grade. So it's like, because like here there are critiques where people say they feel a certain way about something, but it's not actually a valid critique. It's like maybe they don't like the color red and you pick the color red, but it's like, is the color red effective right now, or is it just you don't like the color red?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
You know, like there's a lot of that here, and then it's like, it's tough when, let me see, it's tough whenever I have to learn, like, say, a new software. Like, that's like, it was like intimidating to me at first, because like what I like to do is I like to think about it. Like, you know how some people like don't like to think about things that make them afraid or don't want to do. I like to think about it so that I can confront it and be like, okay, why am I like either afraid or why am I hesitant to do this? So like I was hesitant to get into 3D, and like I mainly use Blender now, and like I like downloaded it, and then like for a week I was like contemplating like, yo, I can't do this. This is stupid. Like, why the fuck should I learn 3D? And then like I looked up a couple of tutorials, and then I was like, yo, I'm gonna just dive in. I'm gonna look up some complicated shit. I'm gonna learn how to do it so that when I do my 3D class, I can just shit on everyone. And so like I'm just like doing that. I'm just like, okay, cool. Like in my animation class, like the teacher was teaching shit, and I was like, I already know how to do this because I looked up like how to do this shit over the summer. So like I'm just trying to like the toughest moments is just like trying to evolve. Evolving is tough sometimes, but you have to.
Yeah, but you also like to overcome them as well. Like I can relate to that.
Yeah.
I was so intimidated to learn a Toon Boom, even though I really wanted to. But within like the first, not even the first.
Yeah,
the first day, I was like, I can do this.
Yeah, like now like it's I like to learn it. Just be like I know how to use Toon Boom. Like I'm not like a wizard in it. Like I'm more into.
It's really easy.
The program I use is literally like you just draw and it's like it's kind of like Toon Boom, but it's more the interface is set up more like Photoshop, but it does the same shit as Toon Boom. It's like more like Illustrator and like animation. But like Toon Boom is like mad easy. I just didn't want to use it just because I was like it doesn't have as many brushes. It does. I don't know if it has blending mode. I don't know like, you know what I'm saying like but it has like a bunch of shit. Like it has like the lip syncing and it's great. So yeah.
All right, and on that note, we will officially wrap this up. But before we do, Rhashad, would you please tell the lovely people listening where that they can find you?
Oh, I wouldn't say Facebook because I post a lot of dumb shit on Facebook. So like,
Facebook is for nerds anyway.
My art station is Shadra, which is just like my name in reverse. It's just like, hold up, let me.
Well, I'll find it later.
Hold on, let me just. Like my Instagram is Shadra Rhashad, which is SHADRHA _ Rhashad RHASHAD, and it's the same on like my art station and my Tumblr. So
nice.
Yeah.
All right, and on that note, we will end. So thank you so much for being on here, Rhashad. You talked way more than I thought you would. But that's what radio's all about.
Yeah.
And so with that said and done, folks, then thank you all for listening. And until then, have a very safe Halloween.